Hey y'all. Y'all hang on. I've got y'all balanced on nothing, okay? I'm always doing that with y'all, aren't I? But anyway, I want to talk to y'all just a minute about canning things. I've been canning this summer and showing y'all all this. I call it fancy equipment because that's what I want to tell you. I'm always posting links to where you can get this big canning pot and even a pressure canner if you need it, and then all this canning set that comes like this, and there's got your magnet on the end, so fancy, right, to get your lids out, and a big funnel for filling up your jars and keeping them clean. This shows you the head space, because depends on what you're canning, you might need a little more head space. That's between the top of the lid and the jar, the product in the jar. But anyway, and I don't ever use that, to be honest with you, because I've done it so long. Y'all, this is an old antique funnel that was my mama and daddy's, and my daddy doesn't can anymore, but my mama and daddy canned a lot too, and so I love it. It's nostalgic. And if you ever see one of these in maybe an antique shop or something and you think, what in the world is that? This is for canning, and it's handy, and it's not plastic, right? I love that. So anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about that, because when my boys were little, John and I were paycheck to paycheck people. We lived out here. We lived out on his papa and his mama's farm, and we didn't. He worked at the local poultry company, and I worked at the local veterinary clinic, and we were paycheck to paycheck, and then we did extra stuff. I cleaned houses to make ends meet. John worked out in the shop mechanic, and so we didn't always have extra money. Both our boys were little, and you know how it is when your children are little. You just don't have extra money, do you? I know. So what I'm trying to do is encourage you anyway. If you want to start canning, you don't have to have all this fancy equipment, okay? Because what I did, all I had was a pair of tongs. I didn't have this or this picker upper, just some regular little tongs, and I don't think I even have any down here. Like, these are fancy now, but you know what I'm talking about, those that look like scissors. I just had a pair of those that I would use like for frying meats and stuff in the house that I could pick up with. That's what I picked up my jars with. That's what I picked up my lids with. I did not have a big old canning pot. I oohed and awed at that thing. Every time I went in Walmart, I would see it. And I was like, one of these days I'm going to get me one. So I just put all my lids and my twist tops in just a pot on the stove. And I would have on my stove top umpteen big pots with water, so I could sterilize my jars and then water bait things. So I just had pots all around my stove, and I made it happen. And you know, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And that's exactly what I did, because I wanted to can anyway. And I did not learn that from my grandmother. A lot of y'all ask me where I learned it, and I actually self-taught myself. I just wanted to know. I remembered my grandmother doing it, and I enjoyed many of her things, and not just my grandmother, my great aunts and lots of people in my life. So I just self-taught myself. One thing you can do is, if you buy a thing of jars, I'm trying not to jiggle y'all so y'all will fall off. Y'all are literally just balanced. But it'll tell you what things to jar or can in just a water bath, and what needs to have a pressure cooker. If you don't have something that's acidic, like green beans or something like that, it needs to be in a pressure cooker. And so don't throw your boxes away. They have a lot of good information on there that you can teach yourself, okay? Something else I love is, if you can invest in a thing of jars, you can use these your whole life. You don't have to keep buying over and over and throwing away, and I love that. Except for the little lids. You hear it? He's not sealed, so he goes in and out, in and out. But you can keep the twist tops as well, but these little lids you will need to replace, just so that seal, you know, is going to be sealed. So I love that, because all you've got to do now is buy the little lids. Hang on just a second. Literally, y'all, they come like that when you replace them. So, and these are little of nothing, okay? And it's a big old stack of fresh lids with a seal on it. So, you don't have to spend much more after that. And I saved up. Do y'all remember Walmart used to have a big book section in it. You could actually go in there, you could sit down, you could look at some magazines and some books, and there would be children in there. There would be adults as well. Well, that's where I found a book, and it's in the house. So I'll put a link to it because I found it on Amazon too, but it's the Ball Canning book. And it's got so many recipes in there. And it tells you how to make jellies. It tells you how to make jellies with powdered pectin and liquid pectin. And on and on and on. All sorts of sauces and relishes. And it's a wonderful little book. And it taught me a lot. I read it cover to cover. But, and what I did through the years, I would even kind of change up a few recipes or write down some of my own recipes. Like it doesn't have mayhaw jelly in there. So I added that. I wrote it where it's got some room to write in it. So anyway, I saved up and I finally got me that book, and I want to say it was like maybe $12. I think it's 20 something now on Amazon, but I'll put it as well. But what I'm going to do in the first comment is I'm going to put, first of all, like I said, you don't have to have any of this if you still want a can. All you need is some jars and some lids, okay? That's it. It's all your pots and pans that you cook in anyway. But I'll put a link that's got like a full canning set, and I think it's like $91, and it has this big old pot in it. And I pick up, it's got a rack that comes up, you know, because my jars are down in here right now. I did some big quart jars of the crushed tomatoes today, and they're in that water. I leave them in the hot water after they process. Quarts have to go 45 minutes. And what I mean processed, they're covered with water and they're on a low rolling boil, okay? So I turned it off now, and I just let them cool down overnight, and they'll seal as they cool. Or you can put them on the counter and they'll seal as they cool. Either way, but I just leave them in there and go on about my business. But anyway, I have a link. The first one I'll put has got this big pot with it. It will also have all of these things with it. I think it actually has maybe a set of some jars. I'm not sure. So anyway, I'll put that one, and it, like I said, I think it's like 91 something. Then there's another set, and it's just simply your picker-upper for your jars and your headspace measurement and your magnet stick, and it comes with this as well. And then my ladle. Oops, sorry y'all, getting noisy. My ladle I ordered separately one year, years ago. I mean, I've had this since my boys were little, okay? But I think that set might have a ladle in it, but I know the big set and that one is like $18, $19. This one with the big pot in it has already got a ladle with it, and it also has some like little measuring spoons or something. So I'm just going to give you a couple of things. Like, first, say you don't have to have any of this, okay? Second, say you can get the minimum and be fine. But if you don't have a big pot and you don't want to use a whole bunch of small pots like I've done, then there's one that's 90 something, and it's got a big pot with it too. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to kind of have a nostalgic moment with y'all, because I remember being around and my boys being little and me not having anything, but I didn't care. I was a happy mama, and I was at the house, and I was canning stuff and learning and getting so excited when I heard my jars popping. Y'all are balanced on jars of crushed tomatoes. But I love that. It almost brings tears to my eyes just to remember being a young mama and all that. And it's nothing about having the money to buy all the fancy stuff. It's just the times, isn't it? And the memories we're making. Something y'all asked me about, y'all wanted me to talk more about when I made these on a video with y'all 2 days ago. I did some small little pint jars of the crushed tomatoes, and these I used an immersion blender, but that immersion blender gets it a lot more smoother, almost like a sauce, which is good for tomato soup in these smaller cans. These that I have in here are big quart jars, and I pulsed it in my food processor, and it leaves it chunkier, because my chunkier crushed tomatoes I love to put in spaghetti sauce and chili sauce, and my vegetable soups, or any of the soups I make, taco soups, these that are more almost puree, just little bits of texture in it. What I'll do with this jar, this pint jar, I will add a can of chicken broth to it and heat it on the stove and make grilled cheese during the winter. It is so, so good. And you can add things like, if you want to add a little cream to make it a creamy tomato, you can add Parmesan. I do a lot of times. Crushed basil. You can put a little oregano. You can put red pepper flakes in it. Anything you want to do when you're making your tomato soup. But yeah, it's just a can of chicken broth with it, and then you've got tomato soup, and it's so good during the winter. And that's another thing y'all ask. You know, you can make different tomato soups. You can make, or crushed tomatoes. You can do it with all sorts of Italian seasonings in it. You can do it with onions and celery and bell pepper. You can do it where it's more like for chili or for spaghetti. And the reason why I don't do that is because I want to be able to just grab one off the shelf and do what I want to do with it. I don't want to say, oh no, I wasn't going to make spaghetti and I'm out of the chili ones, you know. So that way then I can add then. And also, if you start adding veggies to your tomatoes, you bring down your acidity level, like celery and onion. You bring down the acidity level. They're not as acid. And so then your jars may not stay as sealed. And what you really need to do is pressure can. And that thing's about $100 and something for a pressure canner. I do have one now. I did not used to do any pressure canning like I did today, because it was just too bad, Amy. I couldn't overcome that. But anyway, y'all, I just wanted to talk with y'all just for a minute today and just think about good old times. And I'm going to get on up to the house. I want to make those cornbread vegetable fritters with y'all. And I'm going to slice a tomato. I've got a brandy wine out of the garden. And we're going to have tomatoes and cornbread fritters with the veggies in it. And they're so good. They're so comforting. And if you've got some left over, you can make them with a scrambled egg in the morning. And it's just like a little veggie pancake. So it's so good. And none of them go to waste. But anyway, guys, I'm going to hush up. And I got to get, y'all are in my canning kitchen. I got to get on up to the house. And we got to get busy with supper. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.